Okay, so I've compiled the list, believe it or not, a list that has been compiled and prepped. Now it's multiple lists. We're going to go over the first list, all right? But this video is about all of the Halloween themed films that I love to watch halfway to Halloween that get me in the spirit, get me in the vibes. Already in the vibes, honestly, but these enhance it, all right? They bring forth the scent of fog machines, the sound of crinkling candy, and the euphoria that I feel from seeing carved pumpkins on people's doorsteps in their homes. And you know what I mean by the fog machines. Like, y'all can smell the fog machines. And it's there's such a, like, if I could just put a fog machine in my bedroom and always keep it foggy just so I could smell that, but it's probably not good for the liver. Now, the list that I've compiled is a multi-phased list, meaning this is going to work in stages. Every week, I'm going to bring you one list, 7 films, 1 film per day that you guys may have heard of, may have not, or already are as endeared as I am to these films. But the idea is that maybe some of you might follow along if you're feeling like it. Maybe one week you'll like the list I compile and go, you know what? Yeah, let's do that. And because it is Monday here, this is a perfect time to do it. So the first list today will be the simplest. It is a list that I catered very much the ones that I watch the most year round to get in the spooky vibe. But this list is much larger. I have 67 films in total, and some of these are foreign. There is a whole foreign Halloween themed list that I'm going to give you guys in the coming weeks. Then I have a full J-horror Halloween themed one that I will give to you guys in the coming weeks. Right now, this is just my most watched American Halloween themed films, with some honorary mentions at the end for 2 shows that I think are exactly what you're looking for if, once again, you want to enhance the spooky vibes that are already sort of coiling around you in your innards. So without further ado, this long-winded fucking intro, let's get going with the first movie on this list, which is Hellboy, Guillermo del Toro's. It is weird because I speak Spanish. I don't know why I say it as if I don't. So I had to roll it again. Hellboy is obviously horror adjacent, but it is a superhero film. But to me, this has like stood apart from like the superhero genre in many ways. The Hellboy graphic novels are ones that are just so perfect as your daily dose of horror literature. I mean, cosmic horror, werewolves, witches, you name it, Hellboy has it. And with our first attempt to bring him to the screen, Guillermo del Toro did a lot of things that fit within the spirit of Halloween. One, there's a whole scene where people are dressed up as in Halloween costumes. That's all you need to do to tell me you're a Halloween film. But 2, this film fits in so many subgenres of horror, primarily cosmic horror. And there's a reason why I named the channel Cosmic Frame. Like, I love cosmic horror. And I know there hasn't been a lot of that on this channel. We're working our way up to it, I promise. But I love cosmic horror. That kind of lore, that kind of storytelling, especially in indie horror films. Cosmic horror is so unique and dense and layered and creepy and eerie when done right. So I love that Hellboy taps into that cosmic origin a lot. We deal with Rasputin trying to wake up a Leviathan god from this sort of crystal imprisonment. We have, hellish lore. We have Samuel, the hellish hounds. Abe, who is this amphibious sort of creature of the lagoon. And then we have Liv, who's pretty much a fire starter. And even her elements and her story arc, how she has like a hard time controlling her powers because it's all emotionally based. It's all entangled in how she feels. She never learned how to control it. And I'm sure a lot of you, if not all of you, have seen it, where she, spoiler alert, burns an entire insane asylum because she has an episode triggered by our villain Rasputin. And that's just terrifying to think that within yourself the real horror lies. That the one thing that is supposed to be your gift is the one thing you can't control. It's like there's so many layers to this film, but not to mention the practical makeup, the special effects, the crazy ass ending with the Leviathan god and the very, very cosmic design of it, and the tentacles getting cut off and growing back. I mean, Hellboy has it all. It has hell, it has cosmic horror, it has Hellboy and his right hand of doom. We've got a creature feature, we've got a cosmic horror, we have a supernatural film. But funny enough, it's also about an oversized demon baby child man who refuses to grow up. There's so many things at work, and again, the Halloween vibes all over this shit. It just has the right vibe of Halloween for me, and I love returning to this film that is so crazy. And it also calls back to a time where we weren't afraid to make like superhero horror adjacent films like Constantine or League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Like these films hold a special place in my heart because I grew up watching these anti-heroes who have it very difficult and very hard, and for one reason or another, maybe they're not completely about saving humanity, but they have to because there's alignment between them and the greater good. Hellboy is such a perfect Halloween film. I will forever grieve not having a third Hellboy. There are other Hellboy films, and I unapologetically enjoyed those. I know people don't like The Crooked Man, which honestly, if you are into low-budget horror, that leans more into the horror than this Hellboy does. I love the David Harbour one for how like just bloody and almost Clive Barker-ish, especially towards the end it gets. It has some really bad moments, but I enjoy myself watching this movie. I just think Hellboy, you can't really go wrong with Hellboy. Our second one is another superhero adjacent one, and it has to be said. It has to be seen. The Crow. Brandon Lee's The Crow is such an iconic film for both boomers and millennials, and I don't know about Gen Zs, but I really hope, if not, that they catch on quick. It's such an encapsulation of a time that I'm nostalgic for, where films weren't afraid to be dirty and grungy and edgy, but still have soul. I mean, the score to this is incredible. It's absolutely incredible. There's a storybook feel to the aesthetic of this film, and there's a storybook feel to the characters and the villains, and it's not a perfect adaptation of the graphic novel. It's a graphic novel that I adore, and maybe one day we'll get an adaptation shot for shot, but like this is such in its own right and in its own merit. It works as a time capsule film. It works as a film that is very much in the spirit of Halloween. Also, this crew of villains led by Top Dollar, performed by Michael Wincott, who you might recognize from the white-haired dude in Nope. He just like absolutely killed the role of Top Dollar. He's so slimy, he's so perverse, he's such a sadist, he's so fucked up, and he has such gravitas. Like he was great in it, and all the other characters, Tintin and and Funboy, like these characters are such Batman thugs, but they fit right into this pins and needles methamphetamine city. And it helps that he has one of the best Halloween costumes you could ever come up with, man. Black eyeliner, white face, long hair with the leather jacket, kicking ass. Not to mention the amount of aura farming that he did throughout the entire movie. When he blows up the pawn shop and it blows up, and as it's in flames, he just walks out of it and just clean. Like, come on, dude, that's badass as shit. Or when he sent one of the thugs into the lake, tied to the car inside, and not even that. It wasn't enough that he was going to send him to drown. No, he had to blow him up just before that. And the supernatural elements absolutely enhance that Halloween vibe. I mean, at the very end of that scene, he creates a crow out of fire, which, by the way, 2003's Daredevil completely took the fire double D's on fire from, come on, dude, absolutely. That film, Daredevil, 2003's Daredevil felt like it was absolutely trying to pay ode to the Crow, especially in that scene, because it's just so iconic. One of my favorite scenes in this film is when he gets shot through the hand and he's doing this, and you see his eye through the gunshot, and he's just laughing and losing his mind. Yes. For our third movie, we have Cobweb, 2023 surprise, starring Lizzie Kaplan and our very own Anthony Starr, our very own Homelander. I love him as Homelander, but this role was so sinister, like even more so. Obviously, Homelander is sinister, but he's like a man baby who just loves sugar tits, like literally. Breast milk is his thing. And he has got a lot of internal daddy issues for sure. But here he is playing the father a father with a very sinister secret, very much like his wife, Lizzie Kaplan. Their son is hearing strange things on the other side of the wall, and they do everything they can to gaslight him into thinking it's just his hyperactive imagination. Now, for those who have not seen it, I am not going to spoil what is a pretty fun surprise. Like, I genuinely think the film did a really good job with the revelation and how they handled the third act, which is crazy. But what really astonished me is that this is a through and through a Halloween film. It has the horror fairy tale vibes that I'm always looking for, that I have enjoyed from films past. The way that the shadows play with certain characters and the way that the movie tries to make you believe that there is something so sinister that the parents are a part of. At any chance they get, they're lit in such a way that feels like you're watching Coraline. It feels like they're kind of doing their version of like The Other Mother, but they're doing like The Other Father too. And it's very sinister. There's an incredible shot that I'll try to show here where one of the parents picks up a knife, and the shot is from right outside the kitchen. And all you see is the shadow against the drapes of the kitchen, very much a Psycho ode, you know? And it's things like that that make this movie feel like a storybook in motion. But it's in a suburban neighborhood during Halloween, and there are a shitload of pumpkins in this movie. The moment you put a pumpkin in the movie, you've convinced me you are a Halloween film, and there's an entire garden full of pumpkins. Like, it just feels so awesome to see. Within an hour and a half, it doesn't feel slow, so it uses its time so well. And it shifts its focus on occasion. We kind of jump from the kid trying to figure out what's going on with his parents to the thing on the wall. Then we've got to focus on the parents and what the fuck their secret is, right? And then we also have this sort of side plot of a teacher who is very much invested in our main character's journey, the little boy. And she becomes a little bit more involved than like what is encouraged by any normal faculty member. It all culminates in a really great third act where we go full horror. And to some people, I mean, revelations are hard to pull off in most movies. So a lot of people will like them, a lot of people will hate them. I really enjoyed it. And that's where even more so the gothic fairy tale vibes kicked in for me, especially with the voice that you'll hear later on. That's all I'm going to say. But this movie really works for me, and it's one that I am very much endeared to and wish it had a little bit more of a following than what it has now, because anytime I mention it, people either kind of write it off or they just don't remember it. And I think it is memorable. I don't know. Hopefully I've put you on, and if you do love this film, please let me know so that I don't feel all by myself on this one. Now, for our fourth film, this is one that is probably going to be a little divisive, and that is because it's a Rob Zombie film. And I know that everyone is very much divided on Mr. Zombie. I, for one, love his music, love his style, and I love his films. So, and no, it's not the one you think. It's not Halloween. Obviously, Halloween should be on this list, but I thought it'd be too easy. I don't need to tell you to go watch Halloween. We all pick one favorite Halloween that we just kind of gravitate towards. And for my generation, millennials, it's usually Halloween H2O. You know, that's the one we really grew up with before we started touching the other ones. And especially for me, that's where I went. I was like, oh, H2O is great. Let me go down the entire echelon. And I did. And it's a series that stands the test of time. No one needs to tell you to watch Halloween on Halloween. You know what I mean? I also love Rob Zombie's Halloween films. And it's also because I really love and I vibe with his sort of radioactive hillbilly horror that he does. And I love the controversial Halloween too. I absolutely love Michael Myers in a fucking hobo hoodie walking around, just stomp. That is scary. This human man walked miles and miles in the desert without drinking, without eating, just angry, just looking for his target. Like, that is fucking creepy. That worked for me. But I know it doesn't work for everybody, and that Halloween 2 is extremely experimental, so I understand. But it's not that one that I'm talking about. I'm actually talking about House of a Thousand Corpses. House of a Thousand Corpses is funhouse horror for funhouse sake. It doesn't necessarily make any fucking sense. It does not need to. There's also some very strange choices in camera work, some extremely strange decisions when it comes to cinematography, but it is such a piece. It's such a product of its time, a time that I'm very fond of, and I return to that movie consistently. Between the hillbilly cracked out family that they're all cracked the fuck out. There's definitely some incest in that family that we might have missed, but that whole family's cracked the fuck out. From the deformed relative, Mr. Tallboy, to Rob Zombie's wife himself being this like skankaroo, horny psycho, daddy issues girl that I know a lot of my friends would be like, I can fix her. And Bill Moseley, my God, dude, like Bill Moseley just chews up the screen. He's my favorite one there. These guys coming across this house in the middle of buttfuck nowhere that is obviously modeled after the Texas Chainsaw Massacre house. But they go out there, they get caught by this family. They keep saying, oh, we're going to fix your car. We just got to wait on so-and-so to get here and fix it. And it just gets progressively worse. And while they're sitting there, they're watching this family puts on a fucking weird ass performance. They're putting on a play. Like, it's a whole thing. And it just gets weirder and more uncomfortable. The main crew, the main group of protagonists, they're non-characters because there's no way that they can act around the villains. Like, the villains are the star of the show. So you're there to watch them get got. And then we get this crazy Alice in Wonderland on steroids, just complete nightmare fuel of one of our characters going through the basement and coming face to face with these like mutilated abominations. And it's just such a horror highlight. And it ends very much the way that Texas Chainsaw Massacre does, you know? This movie knows what it is. It knows what it needs to be and who it's catering to, and I'm definitely that audience, and I love this movie unapologetically. It's so metal, it's so crazy, it's so wild. That's it, man. Rob Zombie rules. Now, my fifth film is kind of an obvious choice, but I never hear this being people's favorite Tim Burton film, and it is for me. It is my favorite Tim Burton film, Sleepy Hollow. Sleepy Hollow, it needs no introduction. You need me not state the synopsis for you. Ichabod Crane and the Headless Horseman. You know the story. But it's so visually stunning. That film, shot after shot after shot, you could silence that movie and just watch it. And you will drool at the cinematography between the saturated pumpkins against the black and white gray wash backgrounds and the evil tree where the horseman just kind of, it's his domain. It's where he takes his heads. Like the shots of him going into it with his horse and then coming out. That's some of the most visually stunning storytelling that you could see in like a big budget horror film. It is gory, and I love the way that Tim Burton in this film, he saturates the blood so much. This is very much just a style over substance horror film that wears its love for the spooky season on its sleeve. It is absolutely fun. The gore, the kills, Johnny Depp's Ichabod Crane is endearing, not to mention just the set design. The set design is so beautiful. Like, the set design absolutely puts you in that place. You make that film now, it's going to feel like a set, but there was something that Tim Burton tapped into while making that film and building the sets. The crew did an incredible job just making you feel like you're there in this haunted village that's plagued by the Headless Horseman. If you watch Nosferatu, there's a lot of shots adjacent to Sleepy Hollow that I kind of caught on to, and I was like, yeah, okay, this is why I like this so much, because I really enjoyed Nosferatu. This movie is just so unapologetically Halloween, and it's one that I will continue to go back to time and time again. Now, these last two are very much the peak of Halloween entertainment. These two films are the ones that put me as close to the phantom smell of fog machines as possible. The first one out of those two is Haunt. Now, I feel like Haunt is pretty well known, but I do meet a lot of people who haven't seen it. So hopefully I can put you on to such a great little horror slasher about a group of friends who all go out on Halloween night and come across a sign that says haunted house here. And so they go to this haunted house attraction. What they find is that it's not just that in any way, shape, or form. It's actually a group of very fucked up individuals who have a very obsessive kink, which is that they disfigure themselves. Now, this is kind of, I would assume, kind of inspired by people who modify their bodies, because these killers have a thing where they modify their faces based on the Halloween mask that they're wearing. And they're not like crazy out there modifications. They're like the kind of shit that you really see out there where like certain people might split their tongue, or they might like add things under their skin to give themselves that creature look. And that's all the movie is. But what this movie has is just that it does what Hellfest kind of failed in doing for me. It has really strong group of killers that are putting our characters through it. It is so fun. There are a couple of dumb fucking decisions, but there are a couple of smart ones as well. There's always a good chase. There's always a good fight. And the climax is a very satisfying. It's not going to rewrite any rules. It's not, but this form of horror slasher that focuses on experiences within a haunted house attraction, things like, you know, the house's October build or Hellfest. This one's my favorite version of those films because it really does focus on just these characters and their desperate fight for survival against these strangers who just literally went through all this trouble to build this haunted house attraction in the middle of fucking nowhere to attract people and murder them. And I think there's something so primal and creepy about that. Like it's I mean, if you're a freak like me, you're like, you know, maybe that'll happen to me. Let's go. You know, for a lot of people, that's a creepy thing. I really, really enjoy this movie, and I do find myself coming back to this movie for the spooky vibes, especially around this time of year. Good chases, great kills, great fun, good climax, and a very satisfying sort of false ending that does this whole full circle moment. There's a slight commentary on abusive relationships here that they don't overdo, but it laces the film with a little bit more substance so that when you get to the end, the ending makes a lot of sense. There's an arc there. It's just a very satisfying slasher movie that I love putting people onto. And now, alas, the best in the list, my favorite Halloween themed film of all time, Trick or Treat. All right, now Trick or Treat is such a perfect Halloween film. I have been waiting 2 decades for a sequel because this movie came out in 2007, and I have been a passionate lover of this film. Sam, the world that's built, the interconnectivity between all the little branching storylines, like it is the most fascinating Halloween themed experience for me because it creates these set of rules. A lot of times you get characters in Halloween films that are just there to murk. And I think what sets Sam apart and this film apart from every Halloween themed film is that there is a set of rules to abide by. You know, it's all about respecting tradition that comes with this time of year. And if you're a lover of Halloween like I am, which I know a lot of you are and a lot of my friends are, it's a time of year that it feels well beyond just we get to dress up and we, you know, go to parties and have a good time. And there's something, the air changes, you know, the weather is in sync with it. This is a time of year that so many people come together to explore horror films or explore the communities that come out of it, or they're just coming together because of the common love and nostalgia that comes from what this meant to us, like growing up. Adulting is heavy, and it's the one tradition that we haven't let go as adults. Because even if you're too old to trick or treat, right? We still got horror films. We've got the haunted attractions. We've got metal bands like Ice Nine Kills that I love to remind us that like horror films are a little bit more than just things we consume. And I think that Trick or Treat is encompassing all that. The set of rules that come with the film Trick or Treat, which is very much the spine of why the film works so well. You know, respect jack-o'-lanterns. Don't blow the candles out just yet. Check your candy. That stuff, to build a movie around that, celebrating the culture of Halloween, is so deep and it's so intrinsically there that I love this movie. I'm as passionate about Sam as I am about The Exorcist. And obviously they're two very different films and nothing will ever beat The Exorcist. But in the same way that The Exorcist means something to me that connects it to why I like films, Trick or Treat connects me to why I love Halloween and why horror is so special to so many of you and so many of me. Yeah, so many of me. There's so many. God, so many of me. Yeah, I just, you know, Sam is such a fun character. Sam is just, one, he's fucking adorable, running around in his little getup, big ass pumpkin head. He's even adorable when he takes it off. And he does these like fucking yum yum sounds. Like, it's fucking adorable, but he's so cool. So I have a lollipop that I'm never eating, but this is his weapon. Like, how cool is that? You know what I mean? Like, his weapon is a fucking lollipop. Like, it's just so original. It's not a knife. It's not an axe. It's it's a lollipop, man, and that lollipop is lethal, let me tell you. But not to mention this film also touches on other subgenres. We've got vampires, we've got werewolves, and if you've seen the werewolf scene, name me a better one. Because I don't think there is one, okay? They're ripping their human flesh off, and underneath, werewolves. It doesn't make sense. But it looks fucking cool, dude. I don't give a fuck. A lot of that scene is practical. When their jaws are extending, it's happening during what you think is going to be an orgy, but it's a different kind of orgy. And it's just so badass. Then they're playing Sweet Dreams, Marilyn Manson's cover. Come on, dude. Like, is it overused? Yes. But do you care? Fuck no, this shit hits. Then you have the whole story about the principal. Which, you know, like, if you see that for the first time, it's wild. Because that's where the humor comes in. You know, he's in the backyard burying a body, and his kids outside the window yelling at him like, Dad, are we gonna make some jack-o'-lanterns? Meanwhile, he's like trying to bury the body, but he's trying to be quiet. But his son's just yelling at him, bringing all the attention. It's that kind of humor that is so macabre that just enhances this film beyond just like a horror movie. It's a feel-good movie. It really is. Yeah, man, I could go all day about this movie, and maybe one day I will. But I absolutely think this is my #1 Halloween film ever. Don't be surprised if the next display does that one hanging up there. And if you want more Sam, like I've wanted more Sam, there are 3 other shorts that are really good and funny. They're very short, less than 2 minutes. It's a Trick or Treat, Making a Friend, which is about a little kid who has no friends on Halloween and makes his own using a dead body. Very dark, super cool. Then there's one, Trick or Treat Easter, which is probably my favorite one. And the last one is Christmas. And the Christmas one is also funny and very dark. Yeah, man, Sam deserves more love. He deserves more shit. I've read the comic book, and that's about all that I got so far. So I know that part 2 has been in development for a while, and that they're in the pre-development phase. So whatever the fuck that means, Michael Dougherty needs to, before I die, just one more, man. I feel like this franchise should have been milked as much as Michael Myers at this point. We've 20 years, not a single sequel. Fuck. Now, just to wrap up the list, these are my 2 bonus recommendations for you guys. These are TV shows. Okay, keep in mind, these are not films. But if you're looking for something a little bit more long form that is going to give you that horror itch that maybe you've been looking for in a television show, these 2 will absolutely give you the Halloween vibe that you're looking for. So my first show is Penny Dreadful. Penny Dreadful is an incredible recounting, re-envisioning, if you will, of classic creatures. Wolfman, Dracula, Frankenstein. And it grounds them in a way, especially Dr. Frankenstein and his monster. It grounds them in this reality where the exploration of their character goes far beyond just the iconic preceding reputation, right? In this one, Dr. Frankenstein is addicted to opium because he's so smart he can't really socialize with people unless he's on opium. Frankenstein's monster is someone who becomes obsessed with art and playwriting, and he sneaks into theaters, but there's a very violent part of him that is grounded in this disbelonging because he is not loved by Dr. Frankenstein. And that gets explored. Imagine that in long form. And I can't believe that there's so many people out there who haven't heard of this show, but it is my favorite version of Frankenstein since the original ever. And Dracula's version here is also incredible. Dracula is actually a counterpart of Lucifer, where that is the human embodiment of Lucifer when I guess you could say his presence cannot tangibly be on Earth. He created Dracula to be that other half. And there's so many, the 3 seasons, there's 4 seasons, but the 4th season tries to do something else that I was not fucking with at all. But the first 3 seasons are very much akin to the gothic fairy tale horror storylines that I like, where it looks very Victorian, very Sleepy Hollow in that way, but it is very dark, very violent, but it explores these characters in such a way that almost kind of removes the not the mysticism behind them, but you know how you kind of, you have a very iconic vision of these characters where you like Dracula is this terrifying force, and Frankenstein and Dr. Frankenstein are very much these hyper realized versions in your head of what they are. Here, Dr. Frankenstein is an addict of an addict with intellect. The monster Frankenstein's monster is complex and broken and layered and looking for life. Dracula is so much more than just a bloodsucker. And it does this while maintaining in beautiful visuals, some insane possession scenes with a character who is a medium. Like, anything you love in horror, possession, blood, vampires, gore, deep storytelling, existential exploration, this show has it. And it is very much a Halloween show. So watch it if you're curious. You're gonna thank me later, I promise you. The other show is Salem. It is in fact about the Salem witch trials, but the women here are actually witches. And this is not like your CW witches. This is not none of that. No, this is a dark, brutal, violent story about how these actual witches are handling the witch trials in this town. Like it is in Salem. Like it's dark. And we explore elements of hell in a very deep manner. We even touch on Dante's Inferno, which is actually a real thing in the setting of this story. There's a lot of mind trippy shit in this, incredible nightmarish sequences. We go full horror. The witches here in human form are beautiful women. But when you see the real versions, the witches that they have here, the practical makeup, the creature makeup, there's no cheap writing, there is no superficial writing. Like, this is about as deep as like horror exploration in a series can get. So those have my full, and that's obviously not with counting like Midnight Mass, Haunting of Hill House. But here's the thing. Up until Mike Flanagan, those were my favorite shows in horror. So please, if you're curious at all, find those shows. I believe that Salem is on Shudder if you have Shudder. Pretty sure you can find them in Stars, or you can find them on Amazon. And everything else that I've mentioned is pretty much on digital in some form or another. And yeah, man, that is my halfway to Halloween list. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I enjoyed making it and blabbing. It's probably definitely going to be one of my longest ones for sure, but I am not complaining. This was a fun video to make, and expect more in the future for you guys that are looking for the vibes. I will try to provide them for you as best as I can. Look forward to that foreign list that I have set up, and much more to come in this kind of video format. I guess this would be my first real like playlist. I should probably do that. But anyway, thank you guys for watching another video with my face on it and my voice on it. It is not taken for granted. I appreciate you guys. And as always, I will see you at the movies.